Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Intelligent Training Holistic Health. We are your hosts, James and Francesca, and today we're going to be discussing the benefits of resistance training and why everybody should resistance train.
Let's turn first. Let's just list a few of the benefits because we have every single one of our clients do some form of resistance training.
Yeah.
And there's a big reason for this, and that is because it's
helps with bone density, helps with muscle loss, helps with coordination, helps with warding off depression, helps with warding off anxiety. The list goes on, people, but we will dive into these components. But yeah, it is the best form of exercise you can do for longevity.
Yeah. So it is a fantastic anti-aging tool, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All the things, all the creams, all the face creams, all the things that you can use to
get that face in the gym, ladies. Get it out of your bathroom counter with your creams and take it for a swim in the gym. I've got oil on today, actually.
There you go, see? And the men.
That's neither here nor there.
No.
Anyway, so as we digress about my skin routine,
yep.
we're going to mention some of the benefits of resistance training and why we feel everybody should do some form of resistance training. And they actually should. Everybody should do some form of resistance training.
For sure.
Number one, because as you do age, you start losing bone mass, you start losing muscle mass, things start leaving you as you age. So you need to try and keep them around to maintain health.
Yeah. So bone density being a huge one.
Bone density is a huge one, especially in women. Yeah. So any of the ladies listening, when you go through menopause, once you come out of menopause, your estrogen is very, very low. And estrogen is one of the things that retains bone mineral density. So you need estrogen around to keep your bones strong. So this is one of the reasons women especially are more prone to kind of hip fractures and things like that as you get older, because your bone mineral density has come down because of you going through menopause. Yeah. Okay, so men, sadly, we just get the better end of the stick for a lot of things in health, and in general, sadly, it's on the change. but yeah, so that is one of the things. So one of the things that you can do to reverse that is resistance training. So by resistance training, to increase bone density through resistance training, you need to load either very heavy, or you need to create a quite substantial amount of force. So this means you need to get close to failure within your reps to put the desired stress on the bone for it to reproduce more bone.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have osteoclasts, so these cells within the bone called osteoclasts, they synthesize or mineralize bone. So this is going to make it stronger. So exactly the same as when you go to the gym, you have to stress your muscle for it to get stronger. You have to do the same with your bones as well. So this is one of the benefits of resistance training. And if you're not resistance training, then you can also use things like plyometrics. So this would be kind of hopping and jumping, that kind of thing. So this is just going to create a lot of impact. So the more impact and the more stress you can put through the bone, then this is going to cause mineralization, and this is going to keep your bones stronger.
And it's great for, we do a group program called NAF Fitness.
Yeah.
And with the group of people that we take through that program, we went from, complete beginners, weight training, went through all the techniques. And one of the things that we implement throughout that program is the use of plyometrics.
Yeah.
And for the reason of aging.
Yeah, because we have a lot of older ladies.
Yeah. And
Susie. Please, I hope Susie listens to this.
No, I hope she does. Anyway, so it's one of those things that is a massive factor when you get older, that people tend to injure themselves through falling, right?
Yeah. So that's one of the big things, especially with the NHS. Oh, sorry, you carry on.
No.
So through the NHS, there was a research study I read that I can't remember the percentage, but a lot of percentage of elderly people, their main thing is they suffer from trips and falls, and when they hit the deck, when they hit the floor, obviously they get injured, and this is where you get hip fractures, things like that. But if they're well trained, then they have the fibers around, or the muscle fibers around, to quickly react to prevent them from falling. So this is another thing. So osteopenia was the loss of bone density as you age, but you also, as you age, have something called sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle. So as we age, everybody starts losing muscle. And the type of muscle that leaves us first is the type 2 muscle fibers. So your type 2 muscle fibers, this would be correlated with people like sprinters or explosive people.
So everything fast acting.
Very fast acting and very strong.
Yeah.
So the characteristics of type 2 muscle fibers are they are very fast acting and they are very strong. Okay, but these are the muscle fibers that leave us the quickest, and they will be gone pretty quickly. So your type 1 muscle fibers will stay around for a long time. Your type 2 muscle fibers will leave you as you age. So this is why, again, you need to try and, again, resistance train to keep these around, to prevent the trips and falls. So then if you have the type 2 muscle fibers around, if you do trip, you have the reaction speed to stop you. You have the type 2 muscle fibers that are fast enough and powerful enough to prevent you from falling. So this is a big thing. This is why when we did do the NAF, we wanted to keep the older population. We want them, this is one of the main things, we want to prevent them from these kind of situations.
Yeah.
So this is why we do implement the jumping, and we do implement heavier weights. So they do keep these type 2 muscle fibers around. And there have been studies in 80-year-olds plus that shown that they can still increase muscle mass at 80 plus. So there is no excuse.
You're never too late.
It's never too late. It's never too late. You can gain muscle in the latter years of your life, and substantially as well.
Yeah.
So it's always worth doing it.
So there's a loss of bone density that happens from a particular age.
Yeah.
And that's when it starts to accelerate.
Yeah. Well, it's from like 35.
Yeah.
It's the same with
I thought it was 35, and muscle as well. So when you do hit 35, that doesn't mean that once you get past 35 that you're too late. If you've never resistance trained before, you can still begin resistance training then and see fantastic benefits from it.
Yeah.
And increase the longevity and the wellness of your body.
Yeah. And to give a kind of practical takeaway, so if you are resistance training, so the way muscle fibers are recruited in the body, it follows something called Henneman's size principle. So type 1 fibers are innervated first because they are smaller and they aren't as strong. So your body is going to innervate the things that aren't quite strong just to get the job done. And then once things start getting harder and harder and harder, more and more and more muscle fibers will be recruited until you are maximally contracting every single muscle. So for example, if I'm chest pressing and I'm pressing away, and then once it starts getting heavier and heavier and things start to slow down, this is when your body will start innervating the type 2 muscle fibers. And this is why growth happens in the last few sets or last few reps of a set. Because more and more of the muscle fibers are getting innervated, and these end up being the bigger and stronger ones, or they have a propensity to grow bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
So think about when you are exercising, if you already do, then when you start feeling it getting really hard, instead of quitting, then push through it, because this is when you're getting those type 2 muscle fibers being innervated. And then this is where you'll get the growth, or you will maintain the muscle mass.
And that's why you have to lift challenging enough weight within the rep ranges that you're following, whatever program you're following. This is why I think there was, particularly, obviously it's always advertised at women, is using like tiny little 1.5 kilo dumbbells or up to 3 kilo dumbbells, using these tiny ones and doing like crazy little routines, massive reps, using the bands to no end, and advertising that you can build your bum, or you can.
So there's QVC adverts.
Yeah.
Any person you see on QVC, if that's the channel, the shopping channel.
I think it is, yeah.
If you see anybody on QVC using one of those really crazy contraptions and they say, "Oh, this is how I build my body," they are lying to you. They did not build their body on that. The only way to get those kind of physiques is you have to progressively overload the muscle or overstimulate the muscle through increased weight or increased reps or sets, whatever it is. The little like bands you got to squeeze together and the little weights that you lift, you would have to do literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reps to get anywhere near the stimulation needed to provide muscle growth.
And I think this is a good point to I'll tell you something in a minute about the funny QVC things, but this is a good point to just explain, and it is more geared towards women, because I trained so many women, and the most common question I get is, oh, but if I'm lifting these size weights, am I going to start to get really bulky and big? And just no, you need to lift really challenging weights, for obviously within your strength and your technique, for a long time, to ever build up that muscle to a point where you go, oh, that's a lot of muscle.
If it was that easy, every dude you would see around the gym would be massive.
Exactly. And because it's easier for men to build muscle, every man would be like that, and then every woman would be close to that. Whereas it's just not.
It's very hard to build muscle.
It's so hard, because obviously the nutrition plays a huge part as well. So there are so many factors. The best thing, obviously, it will build muscle, and building muscle is what everyone calls toning. So it's the same thing. It's whether it's advertised to you as toning, you want to tone and sculpt your body, your muscles. That is building muscle. So do not worry. I always say toning and sculpting, because it relates to my clients. My clients understand it. So it's an easy way to do it. You don't need to correct people and say, oh, well, that's actually building muscle, do you? Because it's whatever you relate to. But it's a great way to strengthen your body and build that tone that essentially most people come to me and ask me for.
And that's the thing. So having like a shapely body, like having a shapely bum or whatever it is, that's all down to muscle. Okay, so it is muscle underneath the fat. And a cool tip as well is actually having more muscle gives you the illusion of looking leaner. So even if you have the same amount of body fat as someone that isn't, let's say, as buff, the buff person is going to look leaner because it's distributed differently across the body, and you have the kind of the lumps and bumps of the muscle, which then gives you an illusion of looking leaner. So if you're going through that winter bulk, then you can still look a little bit leaner because you have the muscle behind it.
Okay, totally sidetracking, but going back to the QVC, I wonder if anyone listening remembers, and I was talking to my clients about it the other day. Do you remember, my parents had one, I don't think they do anymore. They used to have it in their room. The ab mat that had the handles on it. So you had the mat
we had one
with the cushiony head, and then you would
pull
and crunch. Do you remember those? I remember seeing them on the QVCs all the time, and everyone was just doing like a million reps going. It was so funny.
I used to do that. I used to do that in my room.
Yeah, I used to go into my parents' room and just do it. Brilliant. Anyway, complete side note, but if there are any other interesting contraptions that you had back in the day,
let us know.
Please let us know. I love them.
Next one, I would say resistance training will also help your mobility and flexibility, even though people think it's the other way around.
Oh, I love this one because, this is one that everyone...
So most people think by training weights, it's going to stiffen you up and then you are not going to be as mobile as you once were. But it's actually the opposite. If you train correctly, so that is if you train to your active end range of motion, and by... where I mean active is where you can actually take your body without weight or gravity drawing it into a different position. So for example, if you're lying on a bench press and you can get your hands, if you're watching this, you can get your hands to about here,
which is just above his chest,
which is just above my chest with no weight. So this is my active end range of motion. I can't go any further than this, but if I was to use a weight, the weight would drag me past my end range of motion, and this would take the tension off of the chest, off of the desired muscle, and this would stick it onto the tendons, ligaments. This will stick it onto other structures that you don't want it on. Okay, so you need to try and stay within your active end range of motion. But if you do train within that range of motion, then you can start helping to increase flexibility and mobility.
I think a great example of this is squats. So people see other people on the internet going all the way down, ass to grass, as many people say, in squats, and there are other people that cannot get to that range of motion. But that doesn't matter, and it doesn't mean that you're not training
No,
effectively.
Yeah, no,
right?
that's it. No, just train. So that's it. And then you got to train to your specifications of your body, because everyone's biomechanics, they are different. So one person may have really long femurs, so that's the thigh bone, and this is not going to be indicative of a good squatter. Yeah. So for example, Franny has a longer upper leg, so this means the way her body is designed, that she's not going to be a brilliant squatter.
And I'm not.
And she's not. Whereas I have I don't have stumpier legs, but I have shorter
do you know what it is with you?
God, here we go. So here comes a backhanded compliment.
No, it's not. I was going to say, you're more in proportion. Yeah. Your torso is a good length, and your legs are a good length. My legs are really long, but my torso is not that long.
Sure.
In comparison to my legs, I've got long legs that are maybe like a 5'7" person would have, and I'm 5'5". But my torso doesn't make it up there. Hence why I'm
can't squat as well.
And you call me Lanky Larry.
There you go, Larry. So anyway, Larry, as we were saying, so how do we get on this tangent?
Well, because you can.
So everybody has a different setup. So that's the thing. So you want to use your active range of motion, not what you've seen on Instagram or YouTube. So just if someone says, "Oh, it's got to be ass to grass," doesn't have to be ass to grass. It is stay within your active range and do what you can do. But if you do get to your end ranges, and if you are loading your end ranges, this will help your mobility. Okay, so just for stretching hours and hours on the floor can be a good thing to do, but it would be more beneficial to add load to those stretch positions. So if you can control the stretch position under load, your body's going to realize we're in this stretch position, we are under load, and we're okay here. Maybe we can go a little bit deeper.
So it starts to kind of reprogram, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you'll be able to gain more mobility and flexibility when you load certain positions.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I think that ties nicely onto the fact that it's learning a new skill. Resistance training is great for your coordination and learning new skills, because there's a lot of people who come to me and they haven't resistance trained before or not learned the proper technique. And if they can't do it immediately, they get quite frustrated.
Yeah.
And you have to realize it's a skill like anything else. It's really hard to learn the right technique. You shouldn't be expected just to go in and be able to do every exercise perfectly.
No, Dan, this is a huge one, actually. So I have my current clients that have been training for a long period of time. I'll do skill weeks with them. So this is literally, we'll bring back some of the weight. So if we're doing like a deload, we'll bring back some of the weight, and they will just they'll have to send me videos of each exercise, and their number one objective of that set or of those reps is to just perfect technique. So the more you can perfect your technique, the more you're going to put the tension on the desired muscles. You're going to have better movement patterns, and everything is just going to function a bit more optimally if you are using the right technique. And this is another reason that we said previously on another podcast, is to standardize your reps. So make sure every single rep looks the same.
Yeah.
And then this allows you to overload your reps a lot easier because you have a standard, you have a set standard. So if you come to that standard, say, for example, one day you do 10 reps, the next day you stick within that standard and you get 11 reps, then that's brilliant. That's a good progression. Whereas if you did 10 reps and then you just like jerked up another 2 reps, that doesn't really count in my book. I would say you need to standardize your reps, and then you're going to see real progress.
Yeah. So it's everything you do should be done with intention.
Yeah. And like what Franny said, it is a skill. So don't be put off if you can't lunge straight away or you can't squat straight away. It's a skill, and it's going to take a long time to learn it if you haven't previously done it.
Yeah.
So, but just, that it is a skill, and you will get better.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant thing for you because it will help with proprioception. It will help with coordination. So it's going to help with just general day-to-day life. But having the skill of, especially the fundamental movement patterns, will really help you in just general life.
And it's wicked because when we did our NAF program over the summer, where we had a group of people and we took them through training 3 times a week, and we went through the techniques and we broke down movements, and getting to the end, of those 6 weeks and then moving on to a few little harder things, listening to the feedback and people saying, oh, I moved a bunch of boxes.
Yeah,
I did it with ease. Oh, and I carried all this shopping.
Yeah, carried it in for my husband.
Yeah.
Took a week to carry it. I had to carry it. Yeah,
and it's wicked, isn't it? And it's brilliant because all of these skills that you're doing and you're learning within the training, it's not just good for right now for your training, but it crosses over into all the movements you do in everyday life and you becoming more efficient in them and being able to do them for longer when you age.
Yeah. And your body's just going to stay stronger and healthier for longer.
Yeah. And you want, we all want to age. Well, I think most of us do want to age with the ability to be able to move around by ourselves.
Yeah.
For as long as possible.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, especially as an in-person personal trainer. A lot of people come to me and they would want, their goal was to still be able to play on the floor with their kids or their grandkids, for example. So then having the mobility and the stability to be able to get down to the floor and off the floor is a huge thing. And resistance training can really help that. Yeah, because you're going to build the strength and the mobility and the speed to get up and down off the floor. Instead of just, if you're not resistance training, if you're just running or cycling, something like that, it's not going to give you the benefits that resistance training will. No. Resistance training is hands down the best exercise you can do for longevity of your body. Yeah,
it challenges your body to move in different ways as well, doesn't it? And that's what's really great about it also, is that it's not just that you're learning a new skill and you're being able to move better for longer. You're giving yourself a new challenge, and you're challenging yourself to move in ways that perhaps you haven't moved before, because just like you said, it's so easy when people go into cardio or they go into running, you're doing the same movements over and over again. So you can do it with your brain switched off. And obviously you're not getting the resistance training benefits, but you're not being able to challenge yourself.
And it challenges your mind as well. And then this is how it can have, so there's a meta-analysis in 2017 which showed that resistance training has a significant benefit on people with anxiety. And this was through regular participants, their anxiety, and people that had mental and physical illness, their anxiety as well. So it just helped across the board. And then there was another study in 2018, similar meta-analysis, which showed the same for depression. So because I'm not sure the actual mechanisms behind how it actually works, but because you just know exercise is so good for your mental well-being anyway, I'm not sure I don't even know if they know the exact mechanisms, but it helps with just like mental clarity. It helps with so much.
Oh, it's like, for me as well, I always have anxiety, and the last thing you think you want to do is go out of the door and go to the gym or go and move, because you're just in that horrible headspace. But every single time, it's the best thing you can do to take you out of that situation.
No one has ever finished a gym session and be like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that.
No,
you'll never regret going to the gym.
No, and it doesn't have to be crazy every time you go. You're just going to move your body and take yourself away mentally from normal stresses of life and whatever's going on personally. And it's amazing. I always come out lifted. I always come out ready to tackle work, ready to tackle things that I could not have done 45 minutes ago.
And it puts your physiology in a better place. Like it'll increase testosterone, it'll increase growth hormone, you'll be more insulin sensitive. And one cool thing actually for for example, maybe diabetics or anyone that struggles with kind of carb insensitivities or insulin sensitivities, when you do resistance train, irrespective of having insulin around, there are these glucose transporters that will go to the edge of a muscle cell. Because you're resistance trained, this only happens from resistance training. They'll go to the edge of a cell and they will uptake the glucose from the blood. So it's a good way of getting glucose out of the blood and into the muscle, irrespective of having insulin around. So usually you have to have insulin around to, for example, unlock the cell to allow glucose in. But irrespective of having insulin around, the GLUT4 transporters will come up to the cell and just pull it out of the system. So it's a great way if people are dealing with PCOS or any kind of insulin resistant ailments. Resistance training can really help there as well.
So I don't know if we've said it enough in the podcast.
Probably resistance train people.
You should probably resistance train. Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. But there's so many resources out there. You can look on YouTube. There's a lot of places you can find decent ways to start resistance training. We are actually going to put together some videos for our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So we're going to put together a series of the foundational movements, what you should focus on first, and then we'll probably start putting together a few programs that you can follow.
Yeah, definitely.
But if anyone does have any questions on where to start, if you haven't started, or if you're a bit more advanced and you want to understand, I don't know, a bit more on periodization of your programs or certain techniques or the time or where certain exercises should go within your plan, then feel free to email us and we will get back to you and help you out.
Definitely. I do think when you look into start resistance training, I think it can be really overwhelming.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
And it shouldn't be. It should be really simple. You need to focus on all the main.
Well, I would say if you are brand new to resistance training, I would recommend doing 3 full body workouts a week.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant place to start. And because you're so new to resistance training, you will get what's called newbie gains. And newbie gains is your body is because it's so new to this new stimulus of just resistance training, your body will adapt to it very quickly. It's only once you've been training for years and years on end, then you have to get very, very specific with your training, and everything has to be set up optimally to keep on gaining muscle or strength or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why there's loads of different programs for loads of different things. But at the beginning, you will literally adapt to any program. Okay, so that I would recommend is doing 3 full body workouts a week. This way you're going to stimulate the muscle protein synthesis 3 times a week, and this is going to allow you to build more muscle strength, whatever your kind of goal is.
I think that's a good place to start and a good place to end.
Good place to start, good place to end. And that's another episode of Intelligent Training, Holistic Health. Thank you for listening.
Please do let us know if you have any topics you'd like us to cover as well, because we really like the feedback and would love to know what you guys want to hear from us.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.